Hi, and welcome to Disctv, the show that brings you the world of disc golf. I'm Brian Sullivan, and this week the PDGA National Tour brings us to Patapsco Valley State Park in Ellicott City, Maryland for the Patapsco Picnic. Now, some of the best disc golfers from the eastern U.S. are here this weekend, and they're ready for 4 exciting and challenging rounds of disc golf. So don't go anywhere, because Disctv is on the air right now. Also this week, Sean Sinclair demonstrates the 4 basic principles you'll need to get started in disc golf. And we'll introduce you to a guy who's teaching Frisbee skills to kids across the country. It's all about disc golf. This is Disctv.
Good. Pause.
Disctv is brought to you in part by the Professional Disc Golf Association, guiding disc golf into the future. DiscLife.com, the world leader in disc golf. And by Gateway Golf Discs, for those who want to throw and win. Welcome to Disctv's coverage of the 2002 Patapsco Picnic. Where are we? Patapsco Valley State Park in Ellicott City, Maryland. That's right outside of Baltimore. And with me is this week's tournament director. He's Tom Paxton. Tom, thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate you guys showing up here and filming us.
We're happy to be here. This is a great event. Now, tell us a little bit first about the history of this event.
This event, the course started in 1995. The event's been going for, this is its 6th year. It's a wonderful park. It's a great place to play disc golf. People come here and leave with a different feeling about it. We've set up our course so that it's a combination of different types of holes, and it's a lot of fun to play.
So tell me specifically about the course. What kind of challenges are out there that these players are going to be facing this weekend?
We have everything here, with the exception of water. We have elevation changes, we have woods, we have long field shots. Our first round was over 9,200 feet, so it's a long course.
That's a long course.
Long course, but it's not just a big arm course too. I mean, people that throw accurately can play well here, because when Jim Myers, who's a course pro, designed it, he really wanted to make it a risk-reward kind of course. And you'll notice that a lot of the shots appear easy, but if you make one little mistake, you're in the woods. You're a bad shot. I mean, it's a real. You play well, your score shows it. You make a mistake, it costs you.
Now, I know course designer Jim Myers is here. He's a world champion in his own right. Who else is here, and who have you got your eye on to possibly win this one?
I like Craig Gangoff. Craig he's not local to this course, but he plays here quite a bit, and he's a hell of a player. One of the most underrated, in my opinion, players in the PDGA. So I think watch out for Craig. Certainly Mike Moser has had every tournament he's played in that I know of, he's won. And we got Joe Mila here, and we have Sean Sinclair, who can always come up. Larry Leonard, who is from North Carolina, has come up and is playing. Larry's a great player also. So,
and on the women's side?
Women's side, we have Juliana, and we have ELAINE King came in from Toronto, which is great. Nice surprise. Angie Martin's our local pro. It's pretty good. But I think Juliana is going to. I think this course suits her well, so I think she's going to go with the women.
There are some big shooters here this weekend, so let's get you right onto the action. It was an all-American weekend near the shores of Chesapeake Bay for the 2002 Patapsco Picnic. Of course, by definition, a picnic includes food, and there was plenty of that to go around for everyone. The weather was hot and sticky, with calm winds under partly cloudy skies and temperatures in the mid-80s. First to the women's division, where Maryland's Angie Martin was tearing it up. When she's not running tournaments of her own, Martin is out putting, and it showed. Great form and confidence kept Martin with the leaders throughout the weekend, and a hot round in the second brought Angie Martin to within reach of the other elite players in her division. Rachel MANSIR, on the other hand, was feeling right at home in the trees of Patapsco Valley State Park, and she was finding her way past that wood and right to the chains. With smooth approaches and par-saving putts, Maryland's Rachel MANSIR would prove she's a threat to be reckoned with. Four-time Women's World Champ Juliana KORVER was on hand, still smarting after finishing in second place behind ELAINE King last weekend in Pittsburgh. KORVER is used to winning, and having to eat the occasional slice of humble pie can really shake her confidence. Her game was on this weekend, but the pressure of facing King once more kept Juliana just a little bit frazzled. KORVER may have 4 world titles under her belt, but Ontario's ELAINE King has bagged 5 of those titles over the years. The disc golf veteran kept a cool head and played the course confidently, sinking the long putts she's been hitting since well before her induction into the Disc Golf Hall of Fame. King jumped out to an early 1-stroke lead and never looked back. At the finish, it was Dr. ELAINE King a full 7 strokes over KORVER, earning her a second straight PDGA National Tour victory. Now we turn our attention to the Masters, all players between the ages of 40 and 49. Maryland's Wayne ZINK has been throwing golf discs since the 70s, and he started strong with a 9-over par first round on the longest course configuration of the weekend. Solid putting would ensure that ZINK would stay near the top of the division. J. Gary Dropcho of Pittsburgh is no stranger to wooded courses, and while he got off to a slow start, Dropcho chewed up the pars and deuces in the later rounds to overtake most of the field with clean driving and smart strategy. If you can't reach the basket, make sure you keep it in the fairway. The Masters' favorite going in was local pro and 2000 world champ Jim No Spin Myers. Myers not only knows every nook and cranny of this course, he also has a devastating roller shot, which is especially useful on some of the super long wooded holes here at Patapsco Valley State Park. As a result, it was a back and forth battle for the lead between Myers and another disc golf machine, Delaware's Tim KADY. KADY may not know this course as well as Myers, but a long putt is a long putt, no matter where you're shooting. It would go down to the wire, and after the 4th and final round, Tim KADY took the trophy with a 1-stroke victory over Jim Myers. We close our Patapsco picnic highlights with a look at the Open Division. 41-year-old Joe Mila of Bristol, Pennsylvania won the Masters World title last year, but does he still have what it takes to win in the Open Division? With shots like these, the answer would most definitely be yes. Mila was hanging with the leaders all weekend, along with Steve BRINSTER, the 21-year-old from New Jersey. BRINSTER has great game and only needs to develop more consistency to become a major threat on the PDGA National Tour. There's no doubt that we'll be seeing more of this rising talent. Delaware's Mike MOSER doesn't get out on tour much anymore, but winning disc golf to this guy comes as naturally as riding a bike. MOSER's strong arm and steely eye would serve him well this weekend, bringing plenty of deuce opportunities that he was always ready to cash in on. And speaking of cash, here's a guy who's collected plenty of it over the years. North Carolina's Larry Leonard has consistency on his side and only got better with each round of play this weekend. By the 4th round, Leonard had smoked the rest of the field and was well positioned to squash any potential card jumpers as the top 4 Open player in hole showdown. Time now for Disc Physics 101. Now this is when we ask a professional disc golfer to give us some tips on improving our disc golf game. This week we've got Sean Sinclair. Sean, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me back.
So what are we going to talk about?
I want to focus on the person that's possibly a first-time viewer that has never thrown a golf disc before.
Aha, so, I mean, there's a big difference between this and a golf disc, and we're going to teach you a little bit about those differences and how to throw a golf disc, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
What I'd like to do is there was 4 things that were told to me when I was a beginning golfer that I would like to pass on to these people that I think would really help them as a beginning golfer.
Excellent. So let's quickly run down what those 4 tips are going to be, and then we'll get into a little more detail.
Okay, first off, the most obvious is what you have in your hand. Most people think of that as a Frisbee.
Big bladder.
What we're throwing is something that's a little bit smaller. So number one, difference between a Frisbee and a disc. Second, on the line of discs, there's over 100 models out there, and I have a couple tips that might help you in deciding which kind to buy.
Okay.
Third is the difference between what we call a straight arm technique and a bent arm technique. And fourth would be utilizing your lower body to get power into your game.
So hopefully if we combine all these tips, we're going to be able to go out on the disc golf course and immediately find at least some success.
Exactly. You can go out right now, buy a couple of discs, and disc golf is unique in that you can be successful right away. With these 4 tips, I'm hoping that you can feel a little more comfortable with what you're doing out there.
Okay, so let's begin with the difference between a Frisbee and a golf disc. Now what I'm holding here is the traditional Frisbee. You've probably thrown these on the beach or with your siblings or something. Everyone's familiar with this, but not necessarily with a golf disc.
Exactly. What happens here is these tend to be a little bit lighter, a little bit bigger. Let me pick up one we got over here. This is very random traditional golf disc.
Look at the size difference. I mean, wow. You know, the golf disc fits right inside.
Yes, these are very sleek, very fast, a lot more aerodynamic. Okay, so what goes with that is that we have to throw them different. What I'd like to do is demonstrate for you what happens if you throw a golf disc the way most people traditionally throw a Frisbee.
All right, let's throw this one first because
Exactly.
everyone's familiar with that. Okay.
Most people throw a Frisbee when they want to play catch. They don't need a lot of distance, they want control and accuracy. So most people tend to have a straight arm, focus on a little wrist snap, not a lot of movement, and they just kind of throw.
And if someone was out there to catch that, it would have been a great job.
Nice and soft, straight at them. Now, I do the exact same thing with a golf disc, and you'll see something quite different.
No, it went careening off to the left.
Exactly.
Why?
Because the disc physics and the weight of them really have an effect on the disc, and you need a lot more power to get those to go straighter.
Okay.
Okay, so before we get into that power, the second point I want to get on was disc selection. Like I said, there's over 100 models
Oh, there's
out
a
there.
zillion of them, yeah.
Exactly.
Dozens.
And they all have different names, and who knows what's what and what. What I suggest is going out and getting what we call a putter or a mid-range. In traditional golf, that might be 5-iron, 7-iron, 9-iron, something like that. And getting what we call a stable version, which means it wants to go straight. Whether you throw it straight or not is a different point.
So let me get this straight so far. If I am going to my local disc golf retailer, I'm going to say I would like a putter and an approach disc or a mid-range disc that is stable.
That is stable, exactly. We can get into terms of what stable and understable and overstable is on a different episode. So once you got your stable disc, what I recommend is maybe getting 1 or 2 models in that category of disc and learning how to throw those.
Why?
Learning how to throw the shots rather than getting a disc to do the shot is a lot more simple.
But when I'm on the course and I see all the experienced disc golfers, they have a whole bag that's just full. They might be carrying 20 discs. Why shouldn't I start with 20 discs?
Most of those guys have anywhere from 3 to 20 years experience. They've learned the little teeny tiny idiosyncrasies between each little disc and the aerodynamics. What we want to do as a recreational golfer is go out, have fun, be able to put the disc in a relative area where we want, and we're not going to compete and we don't need the high performance stuff. What I suggest by learning the disc is taking one model and be able to get that model to go to the left, to go to the right, and go straight.
The same disc, you want to be able to go left, middle, right before you start getting into all sorts of other discs with different names and you don't know what's what. Okay, Sean, so you've got 3 discs that are exactly the same, and the goal is to make one go left, one go straight, and one go right.
Exactly.
Okay?
Let's see if we can get it a try here. First, same disc, I want it to go left.
Now I'm going to say that was easy because the first shot we threw earlier automatically went left.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what these tend to do as a right-hander, is to go to the left. Okay? Now I'll do the exact opposite and make it go to the right.
Exact same disc, but yep, that one went right.
Exactly. And let's see if we can get one to go straight. Probably the hardest shot
I would
in disc
agree.
golf.
And that was beautifully, perfectly straight. But you're a disc golf professional. If I'm a brand new player, what does it take for me to be able to do what you just did?
Like I said, going out and getting 2 or 3, 5, 10 of the same model and coming out here and doing this. Third point is the straight arm versus a bent arm technique. And this is where a lot of your power to get those discs to go straight is going to come from. If I can use you an example,
sure.
And the people at home, to verify the validity of this, can try it as well. If I give you a disc and pretend that you're throwing like a traditional frisbee with that straight arm, no hip movement, and what I'm going to do is just briefly hold you here and have you push as if you were throwing a frisbee. Okay? Very, very little effort on my part.
I'm pushing hard, but you're hardly
not very
exerting any energy at all.
Not very strong at
Okay.
all. Okay? Now, if you notice, that was straight arm. What we want to refer to now as the bent arm technique is when his arm comes through, it's going to bend. The way we do this is kind of a tug of war type situation where Brian holds onto the disc and now he's going to pull to a bent arm and it's a lot stronger. He can almost pull my entire body weight over by doing that. Okay?
Cool.
Exactly. So the straight arm, not very strong, but with a big frisbee that's not very heavy and flies easy, perfect technique.
Okay, so we've got our basic discs, we've figured out how to make them go left, straight, and right, and now we've figured out, okay, we need to bend our arm to get more power. What's the last
The
step?
fourth technique is that 80% roughly of your power comes from lower body other than your arm, basically. And what I'll show you here is you can sit on the ground facing your target, doing a crossed leg stance here, and try and throw the disc. Okay? And I can get here and
No, that didn't go very far.
as hard as I can throw it, that might not even be 20% of what I can typically throw. Therefore, me using only my arm, and it goes that far, says that the rest of your body needs to be part of that.
And how do you do that? How do you incorporate the rest of your body? What do you need to do?
Well, first off, it's the hips. And as with all these little techniques, we're not going to divulge into completely what you need to do, but I'd like to give a couple examples to relate to different people, come from different backgrounds as to how you can do this. The first is most people have thrown a ball.
Right?
Okay, so to relate to that, if I again face my target and throw a ball, it's not going to go very far.
No.
You watch a pitcher in baseball, what do? They rear back, turn their hips, open up, and throw.
Sure, okay, sure.
The
yeah.
arm is
Right.
almost trailing the rest of their body. Another really good example that a lot of people can relate to is if I have you face me and I tell you to punch my hand, give it, that's okay, I can hold you back. Now, I want you to turn your body and now you can come at me, boom.
A lot more
A
power.
lot more power. So,
Because I got my body weight behind me.
exactly. So getting that lower body into it is going to give you a lot more power with very little effort.
Sean, you don't know how helpful this information is. So let's recap.
Okay. First, we talked about frisbee versus a disc. Okay, very simple. We showed the demonstration of what happens when you throw a disc like a frisbee. Second, there's all the models out there, frisbees. Choose a couple models, learn how to throw those, learn how to make one disc go left, right, and straight. Incorporate the bent arm technique that's a lot stronger. And fourth is to get the lower body into the throw.
Sean, those are super helpful tips.
My pleasure.
And if you're looking for more tips on improving your game, Sean Sinclair now has a video available called Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Beginning Disc Golf. You can find it at disclife.com. Now, if you're looking for information about specific discs, you're looking to order, where else can they go, Sean?
2 places take you to the same website, gatewaydiscsports.com or gdstour.com, and there you can find information about discs, course design, and or paraphernalia that goes with products.
So grab yourself some plastic and we'll see you out on the fairways. You know, back in the 70s, Frisbee was really a fad. It was very popular, but it was pretty much a fad. Well, now, Frisbee is back, and it's a sport. It's actually 2 sports, ultimate and disc golf, so it's becoming a lot more popular. As a result, a lot of schools and other groups are looking for people who will come in and show Frisbee techniques and Frisbee skills to kids. And if you're looking for that guy, we've got him right here. He's Gary Auerbach, the 1995 World Freestyle Champion. Now, if I contact you and say, hey, I've got a group of kids, be it a school or a youth group or whatever, I'd like you to come in and do some Frisbee stuff with the kids, what exactly can I expect?
Well, what I do with young people is I show them things that they can do. I don't just show them my skills. I won the world championships in freestyle, which is doing incredible gymnastics, Frisbee tricks. But what I'd rather do is teach the kids what they can do. I also show them some of my Frisbee collection. I make sure that they know that I wasn't always a good Frisbee player. I tell them silly stories about Frisbees. I tell them how to best way to catch a Frisbee, that I used to be afraid of Frisbees. So a lot of things that kids can relate to.
And how do the kids generally respond when you come in and you make a presentation?
You know, at first I hear a lot of them saying, oh, I don't want to do this, or, you know, Frisbees, I'm not interested in it, or I already know how to throw a Frisbee, but I hook them. And all I got to do is really, you know, simple trick for me, and then they all want to learn how to do that. So I say, well, you can't learn that at first, but we'll learn some other things. So we take them step by step, and by the end of it, they can all do a few tricks. And I'll teach them about ultimate Frisbee. I throw passes to them, and they love that because I'll throw perfect passes. Everybody can do a perfect catch. And we'll play a Frisbee golf game where they're running more rather than the slow pace that we like to play.
Now let's say I'm a teacher in a school, and I'm putting together a PE class, and one of the things I want to include is Frisbee games. What are some of the things you would recommend that I teach the kids to keep them interested and excited about Frisbee?
Well, the most important thing I think is that for a classroom activity, not everybody has to have a Frisbee in their hand. What I like to do is a series of relay races so that with 4 or 5 Frisbees, everybody's participating, but they're more excited about racing against the other team, and it's a lot safer that way. So an activity could be, you know, really quick and simple, but they're all going to get a chance to have a Frisbee in their hand, and they're all going to want to do it again. First game I like to play with classes is Frisbee baseball, where the pitcher pitches the Frisbee, the teacher would do that, batter catches it and throws it out into the field. You run around the bases, if somebody catches it, you're out. Everybody knows the rules to that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what are the age groups generally that you're working with?
From 6 years old and up. 6 years old, they can do real simple things like simple manipulation, passing the Frisbee around different body parts, clapping their hands different ways. To the older kids, they'll do some of the harder tricks like flipping the Frisbee under their leg or behind their back, or dropping it to an under the leg catch, or balancing a Frisbee on the hand.
Now these are the Frisbees that you use with kids, right?
Yeah.
And these are not golf discs.
No, these are not golf discs. These are the fastbacks, the old ones that Whammo used to make in the 70s.
A true flyer.
Yeah, I used to have, you know, Kodak Frisbee and all the other promotional Frisbees. Now I have my own promotional Frisbees. I like them because they fly well. They're pretty soft, they're flexible. If the kids do get hit, they don't hurt. And of course on the back it has the play, catch, invent games and original instructions.
And if people are looking to bring spinning bees into their school or their organization, where are you located? How far will you travel?
Well, I'll travel anywhere. I live now in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I've recently moved from Toronto, Canada, and my website is spinningbees.com.
So if you're looking to show the kids and to have them learn from a professional, Spinning Bees is the place to go. Thanks, Gary. How long has the course been in now, Jim?
The course has been in for almost 6 years now, and this is one of the signature holes, basically. It's way down there, and it's challenging.
It's way down there. We're Taking a closer look at one of the holes that the pros are playing this year. We're on hole 18 here at Patapsco Valley State Park, and we're with the course designer. He's Jim No Spin Myers. Now, Jim, let's talk a little bit about this hole. What do we need to do to get, if not a deuce, at least try to get a par?
Well, it undulates down the hill here, and what you want to do is basically keep it in the middle, and if you really got a long arm, try and bring it in at the end down there by that last tree.
And what's the distance?
The distance on this hole is about 475 feet, so it's pretty far.
That's a long way. Now, if I'm going to not stay straight and fade either to the left or the right, which would you recommend I end up on?
Better to the right than to the left.
All right. All right, let's give it a shot.
All right.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Come on out. Come on out. All right, what have I got? Looks like a fairly simple hyzer here. Oh, you're pinned. Look at you. Oh, man. All right, I'm going for the deuce then. Jim, with a drive like that, I can see why you are a world champion. That's great.
Great putt, Brian.
Thanks. Turbo deuce. Nice, too.
Thank you, sir.
Holy cow. Thanks, sir. And thank you for showing us around.
Oh, I appreciate you coming out to Patapsco Valley State Park in Ellicott City, Maryland.
Which is right outside of Baltimore. And if people looking for more information, Jim, well, where can they go?
Go to madseed.org, maddisc.org, and you can find out all about the courses in the Mid-Atlantic.
Maryland Disc Golf. It rocks.